Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Taliesin Facebook page. I'm coming at you live today from Lloyd Wright's studio at his home, Taliesin in Spring Green, Wisconsin. I wanted to talk to you today about how I, Shay Schmidt, became a tour guide for Taliesin Preservation and what it's like to work for our team. We'll get started in a couple minutes. We'll let some more folks hop on. If you want to take the chance to visit our website right now, you can find more information to supplement what I'm going to say today at taliesinpreservation.org. So let's start with, how did I get to be here, get to be a part of the Taliesin team? So if we go back to May of 2020, what a time! I graduated with a degree in theater and a minor in music. And there was, of course, nothing for me. There wasn't very much going on for anyone at that time. And I got laid off from my job in construction. So me at 22 years old felt like I was just floating in the void a little bit until my mom sent me a link for Taliesin Preservation's tour guide opening. And I looked at her and I said, I am in no way qualified to do that, Mom. I had no experience in history, no experience in architecture outside of just working in construction, and nothing to do with museums, collections, or a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But she said, they're asking for people with performance experience. And I said, okay. And I thought I would check out the website, just give it a look. And I was really impressed with what I saw. Everything I was looking at showed that Taliesin was not your average employer. They were using words like community and energy, education, culture, history, all of this stuff that seemed to show that Taliesin was more than just the tourist site that I always knew it to be. I mean, growing up in this region, yep, Lloyd Wright was born here and he lived over in Spring Green, and we're just kind of used to that story. But I saw all this stuff that showed we were just a little bit more, and it is now a part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So that was pretty cool, and I thought, well, I'm definitely not qualified to do this, but I'll at least apply. Maybe I'll get an interview and I might work in the gift shop or something. That would be totally cool too. So I applied, and even the application, again, I was seeing things like community and life and where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And it just wasn't your average application process. And I was lucky enough to get an interview actually a year ago on Wednesday. And my interview, I was so nervous going in. I had a folder with all of my resumes and my references, and I was just clutching it, walking into one of the most beautiful buildings I'd ever seen. And my tour operations manager, Brock Stafford, sat me down, and we just talked. I kept expecting all of the typical interview questions that you normally get, but instead we just talked about my experiences in theater and the historical research I did for that my senior year. We talked about my musical experience, me working in construction, and my first project actually was a historic building. We talked about how that tied in here. And Brock asked, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And I was like, well, I like to teach people, and I like to work with people, and I love working with kids, and I always want to know more. If I could do anything, I'd be a student for the rest of my life. And then he asked me if I knew anything about Lloyd Wright. Here's the thing, folks, I didn't. I had never stepped foot into a Lloyd Wright building until my interview. But Brock was unfazed. He was not bothered by that at all. We just talked about Lloyd Wright's philosophy. Why does he design the way that he does? Why do his buildings consistently stand out from all the rest, but blend in with the land that they're on? And this philosophy of how can you bring the people around you, the buildings you create, and the landscape you're on together? And I was just blown away that this place really was more than just Lloyd Wright's house. And I left that interview and I wanted the job. I just thought that this was the coolest place I could ever be. And about 2 hours later, I got an email that I had been hired. So, of course, I said yes right away. And the best part about it was when I started, this place is exactly as amazing as it looks on paper. It just, you always expect when you start a new job that it sounds really cool, but maybe you're going to get there and it's not going to be as awesome as you think it is. But I got here, and consistently, this place is really invested in the people who work here and in what we can do to answer our big question here. How can we live now? So that was then. Let's talk about now and me still being here and back for another season. Taliesin is not just a place of architecture. I think that's what everyone thinks a little bit when they first come here. Frank Lloyd Wright, of course, was an architect, and he taught all of his architecture students here at the Taliesin Estate in Spring Green, at least during the summer. In the winter, they'd go to Taliesin West in Arizona. But this is a place for every person, every field of study, and just every type of ideology that you could possibly think of. And we hold true to that today. This is not just a tourist site. This is not just a place to study architecture. This is a place where you can come to learn about just about anything. We don't just have tours, we do immersive experiences as well. So we do photography workshops. You can come live on the estate for a couple days and practice photography with the landscape that is around us. We do a food artisan immersion program. We invite anyone who's over 18 to apply, and you live on the estate, you help farm our little fields, and you make all the food that's sold at the Riverview Terrace Cafe. So land, art, agriculture, history, of course, design, architecture, math, engineering, it all has a place here. So no matter what you do, when you come here, you are being inspired and refreshed. And that's part of why I'm still here, is every time I come to this place, there's something more for me to learn. There is something exciting for me to see. I see new stuff in this building every time I give a tour. And that is so inspiring and so exciting. And it gives me energy that everyone loses over the Wisconsin winter. So it's always amazing to come back here in the summer. The other thing is Taliesin is a place of stories. As a theater person, I am naturally a storyteller. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it this morning with all of you folks. But every person has a story. It's unique to who they are, what they've experienced in their life, and everything that they've done. And Taliesin has a story for every type of person. And part of our mission is finding every story that we can and making sure that they're all told. Everybody has a place here. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. Everyone belongs here. Everybody can find something at Taliesin. And so every time I walk here into these buildings, every time I give a tour, every time I just walk through the doors of the visitor center, it's almost like stepping into another home. We all belong. We all work together. It is the most amazing feeling when you walk into your workplace and you really don't feel like it's work. You just feel like you're having another good day. And the last thing is the people. The people here are so incredible. I am not the only person here whose life story doesn't fit with architecture, history, and museum type sites. I have coworkers who, of course, do art history and they do architecture, and they are so amazing in those fields. And I have coworkers who have done politics across the globe. I have coworkers who are studying law and philosophy, and coworkers who work in education. Everything is here. Every part of our lives actually completely influences our tours and what we're talking about, and it all comes together. Because if we think about it, Frank Lloyd Wright wasn't just an architect. He was an author, he was a philosopher, he was an educator, he taught architecture here. His students learned theater and dance and music. Everyone was required to sing or be a part of the orchestra. They painted, they sculpted, they did concrete work. Everyone cooked for each other. They cleaned these buildings. It wasn't just architecture. It was life. And we continue that here at Taliesin. You come here and it's just another piece of your life, and your life becomes a piece of Taliesin. This place is not a part of the past. It's a piece of the present. And that plays into our essential question. How do we live now? How can we let the past influence what we're going to do? And how do we take that and take it into the future? If you have any hesitation at all about applying here or coming to visit here, don't. I promise you that we have something for you and that we want you here. We love getting different stories and different perspectives. That's exactly what we're looking for when we're hiring people. So we do have positions open, even though it is mid-season. Please feel free to apply. You can go to taliesinpreservation.org, go under jobs, and you can apply with us. It's super quick. And don't feel like you don't belong. Everybody belongs here. So I think that's what I have to say. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and you consider working for us or visiting us. I'm going to go give some tours.